So this is the Panasonic RS-257S. This is kind of an all-in-one device. It was made in Japan, and it was probably dated from around 1970. Not much online that I could find on this device. As a matter of fact, about the only thing that I found online is this ad from 1970 from a magazine, presumably, showing the Panasonic RS-257S brand new. So this machine, all I can tell you about it is that it does have a record changer in it, and here's the spindle for that. And it's got 4 different speeds. It's got 16 RPM, 33 1/3, 45, and 78. And it is fully automatic, so you can just load up your records here, and you got this little arm that holds the records in, and then all you got to do is put it on auto, and it'll automatically load records into the turntable and play them. I have done a few repairs on it, but the thing that I haven't repaired is the tape player, and I'll get into that in a minute. But as far as the record player, it works perfectly. So what it needed, and actually the needle that it came with wasn't too bad at all. I just decided that if I was going to use any of my good records on this, that I had to get a brand new stylus, which I did. This one has one of those flip styluses that you can flip over. And this is set for 78. But of course, if you flip it over, you get your LP on there. The cartridge that it has is the original cartridge. I've not done anything to mess with that. And it does take 7-inch, 10-inch, and 12-inch records. So this part works perfectly fine. Unfortunately, the tape player is not functioning right now. It'll play tapes for just a little bit, but then it'll start eating them. So I don't know if it's because it's got a bad belt inside of it. I have not gotten a chance to take it apart and looked at it from the inside. That'll be something that I do maybe on an update video. But today I basically wanted to demo the stereo and the turntable. And it also came with these speakers. So these speakers have like a mono output. So basically this it doesn't have like your traditional speaker wires. It instead has this mono jack that you just plug into the speaker on the back. This one came with a jack that was missing, or a pen that was missing, so I had to solder a replacement pen. So now it fully functions. It's just not the original one, obviously, because it's a different color. Let's take a look a little bit at the back. So the back has this, I would say it's basically like plastic casing. There's the model information. Made in Japan. And then here is basically the rear jacks. So here you got the FM antenna plugged in. It's one of those external ones. I would probably guess that it's probably plugged directly to the chassis to get reception. You got an auxiliary in, so you can probably plug in an exterior tape player. You have your line out, so you could probably connect this to another component, and then this is your output for your speakers. And then just to show you what the speakers look like in the back, So these are the speakers. There's some information there. There's 6.3 watts with an impedance of 8 ohms. Made in Japan. And there's a speaker there. From the looks of it, it's upside down. So I don't know how much detail you can get from that. But that sort of tells you what the brand is. And it also has a little tweeter in there. Let's see if I can get that to focus. There it goes. So that's the information on the tweeter that it has. So here is the power switch that turns it on. And you do get some of that very retro 70s type of lighting inside the actual console. This is completely analog, so you're not going to get a digital display here. It's all analog. Okay, so we'll go ahead and start off with the FM radio.
Born and raised and
It's an Albertsons. It's just better.
We're all spending more time at home these days, and
from archives at saysyou.net. That's SAYSYOU.
Laid bare the chasm of racial inequality in this country. So where do we go from here? Plus a new album, The Ungodly Hour from Chloe and Halle Bailey.
Truly, this does feel like the ungodly hour, and we just hope.
So this does have a bass control and a treble control, and I'll show that.
From NPR News.
That's Sunday morning until 10 at 91.9 KVCR.
That's the bass all the way turned down.
.org.
You know, selling a car can be a hassle, but donating it is a whole different story. Let us take it off your hands or off your driveway.
The bass all the way up
into public radio, and maybe even a tax deduction. Here is how to donate.
Get started today at kvcrnews.org.
This is the treble.
This is 91.9 KVCR San Bernardino Riverside, where you learn something new every day. You can listen to us on the internet or on your smartphone at kvcrnews.org. We're a service of the San Bernardino Community College District. It's 2 o'clock.
Coming up on Ask Me Another, we add another Queer Eye guy to our collection. It's interior design expert Bobby Burke, and he shares the most iconic firing story of all time.
I got fired.
So unfortunately, those controls right there, the needle does not move. They're seized. Obviously, I could probably get in there and give them a good cleaning, and they would probably start working again. But I have not taken this apart yet, and I just have not had time to get in there and clean everything. I was lucky that the turntable was not seized because it spins fine. But these other parts, they're not working very well. So I got to get in there and clean them up. And also this tape player, which I cannot demo because all it does is chew up tapes at this time.
Last night, officers responded to a call
stereo.
of a man asleep in the car in the drive-thru and say when 27-year-old Richard Brooks failed a sobriety test, he struggled with police grabbing the officer's taser. Vic Reynolds, head of Georgia's Bureau of Investigation, says new video shows that it appears Brooks pointed the taser at the officer.
To be just from looking at the video.
Okay, and then we also have the AFC controller where I guess you could get a stereo sound out of this. It's up, but it's not really doing anything right now. I think it sounds about the same.
Delivered the commencement address before about 1,100 socially distanced cadets.
Okay, and it does have a stereo mode, and it does have a mono mode.
But he appeared to make a veiled reference to the racial tensions that have consumed the country.
Not hearing any difference with the radio. Maybe we'll get that with the turntable. And then you do have the option of having the speakers on or off. And I suspect that when you have them off, you probably can use those line outs to connect to another amplifier and some speakers. I'm not sure about that. But there it is.
Cadets had to wear masks as they marched.
Okay, we'll go ahead and take a look at the record player. Something interesting too about this turntable is that apparently the turntable itself was made in Great Britain by BSR. So I guess the turntable was added by Panasonic to complete this component. So right now I have the Reader's Digest loaded on. Some people mention that they're concerned about using BSR type of record players because of the fact that they have to stack their records, and they're worried that it might damage one or another. I just wanted to demonstrate how off each record is from one another. There's definitely like a gap right there. I don't know if you can see it. There is a bit of a curve to the record to avoid it touching another record if it's put on a BSR type of record changer. So I just wanted to show that there is a bit of a gap. So that should prevent anyone from thinking that the record might actually get scratched if you play them like this. So what you do with these is that you simply take off the little arm stopper that prevents the arm from flying everywhere. And what you want to do is you want to set it at 33, like I have it here. You got to make sure that you have 12-inch set up, because this is a 12-inch record, and momentarily I will also show a 78 playing on this and a 45. So what you want to do is you set it at 33, and then you push this lever all the way to auto, and it'll spring back to start. So let me just show you that in a second. And then the record will drop. Okay, and then when you're ready to play another record, say you didn't want to wait till the whole record finished, you could just repeat the process and just press auto again, and it'll spring back up to start, and it'll drop the next record. So pretty much once you're done, or if you want to stop the record, you just press auto again. And when it can't sense any more records, it'll just go back at a rest. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to demonstrate how to use the 78 setting. And that requires a flip of that stylus, so I will show that right now. So I basically have my 78s already loaded. I didn't show this process earlier, but basically you put the record in to the spindle, and then you have to raise this arm, and the arm will hold him in place. Okay, so you got to switch from 33 over to 78. You got to change this from 12 to 10, because now you have a 10-inch record in there. And then finally, the last step is that you have this stylus that needs to be clipped over to the other side. So you switch it over like that. So when you have records like LPs, your stylus size is probably going to be roughly around 7 millimeters. This one requires a 3 millimeter stylus because the grooves here are a little wider. So the stylus has to be a little bit wider so they can get full contact inside the groove. But the record player functions exactly the same way that it did with the LPs, which I'll demonstrate that in a minute. Turn the volume up a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and set this to mono because 78 RPM records are mono. So I will go ahead and start. So on 45 RPMs, it's a bit more of a process. This BSR came with this little adapter. I'm gonna go ahead and just demonstrate. So basically, the adapter at the bottom has this little cut right by that hole. You insert it like that, and then you push it all the way down. So what this is basically an extension of that spindle. You got this little clip that holds the 45 in place. As the platter rotates, this little clip will go inside, just like the spindle goes when it has an LP in there, and it'll drop the 45 on there. And the reason why this adapter is here is because 45s, at least in the United States, come with a hole that's pretty big in the middle, so you can't really use them the same way that you would in an LP, unless you do have one of these little adapters that you put on the 45 for it to basically function the same way an LP does. But because this BSR already has this adapter there, it's not really necessary. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and just demonstrate how I would stack up the 45 in there, and then I'll demonstrate how it would play. So you go ahead and insert your 45 in there, and it's going to be tilted like that. But when you bring up the arm, let's see if I can do this one-handed. When you bring up the arm, it'll straighten them out, and then they'll stack exactly the way that the 78, sorry, and the 33 1/3 stacked up. Obviously, you do have to make your adjustments back. You want to set it back to 45. You want to set this all the way down to 7-inch. And the last step is basically putting this needle back to LP. You don't want to forget that, because if you do, you could end up damaging your 45 or your LP. So I'll go ahead and do the same process. We push this lever all the way to the back. That's set back to stereo because I had it on mono, so I put it back on stereo. And I'll also play.
Vean ustedes lo que le pasó al pobre de Ifigenio. La historia.
So that will stop just like it did before. So a couple of features that I didn't mention about the tape player, although I'm not going to demo it today because it's not functioning. You can record on this, and it does have a peculiar way of pausing. When you want the record paused, you simply push this little lever, and it'll pause it for you. It has a fast forward function, a stop function, and a rewind function. The way this tape player works is you insert the tape. So what you would do is you would insert your tape like this and push it all the way in, and then they would play it. When you stop it by pushing this button, the tape comes out automatically. So that's basically it for the. It does not have any bias changing or any things to customize it to the tape. Unfortunately, this is a very basic tape player, and that's probably one of the reasons why it no longer functions. But I do intend on taking this apart and cleaning it. I just haven't had the time to do so, but maybe I might give an update on a future video. Another cool little feature that the tape player has is a counter. I've used this very little, but it does function. So that's kind of an interesting thing. And the tape player is labeled Pan Eject. And I guess that would explain how it ejects tapes using that mechanism. So at the bottom you do have a little sliding door that is a compartment for a left and right microphone and a headphone jack. So it's got this little tab here that you just slide over, and it exposes those jacks that are inside of there. And of course, I mean, you could plug this in, and you could also probably use it as another AV out for this device. I've only tried to use this to play on other speakers because I couldn't get this to work on regular speakers. It could only work on these speakers. So presumably you could also use this to put into another amplifier if you were to desire to do that. So that is basically it for the Panasonic RS-257S. It's a very nice little machine. I've seen these recently listed on eBay for about $200, and some not functioning for about $100. I'm probably not gonna sell this. I'm gonna keep it because I just think it's very cool, and I don't have any other turntables that play 16 RPM. I don't have any 16 RPM records either, but if I were to come across something interesting at Goodwill or another thrift store, I might be able to play it on this and see how it sounds. But for the time being, I just think it's really cool, very retro looking. These type of players are not the best quality, but I think this brand is very good quality because it's got a good weight to it. And, you know, I just think that it's kind of neat looking. I would also like to get these VU meters functioning because I think it would be a nice touch if they function correctly, but unfortunately they're seized right now, so maybe it would just require a little bit of a cleaning to get them working. But anyways, thank you very much for joining me today, and I hope you enjoyed my video. Take care and have a wonderful weekend.